fraudulent fake ones. Snatch them up out the crowd and I break one. Take one shot to the head and sleep. Niggas coming up the street, mad deep on the tree. Shoot a cop down, fuck rights being read. Terrorize these streets while I'm...
Alright, welcome back, viewers. Sorry about the background noise. We've got the energy company building something that they want to build over there. However, we are back on the 4runner. And right now, we've got a transmission issue, so I will meet you down there. Yeah, the transmission issue is the Sonax is seized up, and if you can see here, she's leaking everywhere. How am I going to rectify that? Stay tuned and find out. Symptoms are delayed gear engagement. Feels like it's slipping both uphill and on flat, but downhill it's fine. However, the speed accumulation from 0 to the marked speed is still within spec, so no, there is not stripped clutches and there is not worn out parts. It's just the Sonax kit from factory has seized up, and I suspect there is a hydraulic pressure leak due to it. Maybe it's the double stacked O-ring that I had to do on the front end of the filter housing. I will double inspect that and verify and check. However, I'll check back in with you guys as soon as this is drained and I have this crossover pipe and transmission pan out of the way. I do have a filter kit ready to go and a new gasket. I don't like the cork gaskets, so I will still use the new cork gasket, but I will back it with some room temperature vulcanizing material. Alright, let's check back in when I have that done. Alright, so now I'm at removing the filter. I'll bring you back when I have the filter and the filter housing off. I thought I was filming that. So this one here was on there. I had this one double stacked to compensate for the width of that one, which the other one was up inside the transmission housing. I have to find another O-ring to fit that with a little bit of a stretch, because this one here is sort of stretched in my assorted O-rings down there. The Sonax will be orientated 90 degrees, so 90 degrees is from there to there. If you're wondering, it's anti-clockwise when you're increasing or increasing line pressure. It's clockwise when you're reducing, and I will show you that when I get up to it. I can only do that with the filter housing taken off of the transmission, because there's two little ports in there, alright, and they're up in there like that, and they're roughly around this area, right behind the main part of the valve fluid chamber bypass for the fluid. I will be cleaning this up before I put it back on. This is just casting marks from factory. I can file them, but I'm not worried about them. It's been working like that for long enough. I'll get back to you when I find the right size O-ring. Alright, Sonax is this part here. See how it's orientated left to right? We're going to have that orientated top to bottom. So this part here will wind up here. Well, hang on. This part here will wind up here. Sorry, looking in the camera. I will do that. To do that, see what I mean by the two ports? That rear one is to slide the piston forward if it tends to recess back into the transmission far enough to get seized. This one here is to relieve pressure off the piston so you can pull the pin out up the top there. I'll check back in when that's done. As promised, there's the Sonax orientation for the line pressure. Filter housing bolts up there. It's got two ports where the fluid goes. If those are not sealed properly, your transmission will have symptoms of slippage. Alright, I'm about to refit this filter housing and put the new filter on there, and I'll get back to you when that's done. Alright, so there's a new filter fitted, new housing, makeshift gaskets fitted. They're actually compressing. Sonax is done up in the orientation it was supposed to be from factory, seeing the arrow alignment. Solenoids, it doesn't look like any have been unplugged. I'll clean this. I'll have a break first. I have my smoko brake, which I'm going to have a coffee on, and then I'll clean this stuff up. Clean that up, put a new gasket on there, scrape all that goop crap off, and just put a thin layer on for the new gasket. Bolt it back up, and then I'll show you what the refill procedure is after doing a job like this. Yes, there is still some residual fluid inside the transmission, however, it's not enough in there to make any hindrance to the work I have done. So I'll crawl out from underneath here, I will make a coffee, and after I finish my break I will run you guys down on the update to the repair. Looking forward to it. Catch in with you. Okay, so the pan's back on, it's filled up. Let's check for leaks. She's dry. That's awesome. You see, the other day when I filled this back up, it started leaking like a sieve all over the place. The pan was warped, and what I ended up doing was hammering it back to where to the almost exact shape it was from factory. The bonnet is shut this time. Yep. So after you fill it up to the acquired level via the dipstick, you cycle it, you let it idle, and you change it go from park, reverse, neutral, drive, right down to low, and you keep doing that about 4 or 5 times. And then you switch it back to park, and with the engine still idling, you double check and verify that it is at the full cold mark. Now as you drive, the fluid expands, and that's what makes it reach the full hot mark. However, sometimes when you're driving it, it may register lower due to the system not being fully bled through the transmission. What else is there? What other things did I do? I swapped the O-ring over and size matched the rear one because I had the next size up. In theory it's better because it's got more clamping force, therefore it's not going to be as easy to leak. New filter, you've seen that. Transmission gasket for the pan. I had to repair, tap a new size into the transmission pan for the drain plug because of mechanical sabotage. However, let's get on that topic real quick before I have to run. Alright, so I get there and I take the vehicle in for inspection, for registration, to be able to drive it on the road. This tyre wheel bearing, it was loose in the quotes of the mechanic. I packed that not even 2 days prior to taking it in. So I think, oh well, it just needs to be reseated. However, I thought I'll double check the grease and make sure there's not a slight bit low and it's not going to cavities. So I pull the outer wheel bearing out and I find no grease in the hub whatsoever. No evidence of a leak and no grease in the hub. Never seen that before in my life. I narrowed it down to sabotage because he also mentioned about oil leaks on the engine. However, I've done a full gasket kit on this engine. Full gasket and timing kit. Should not have leaked. When I got up under there was no evidence of a leak apart from a stripped out sump plug, which I know for a fact that I put a new one on when I done the service. There was no oil in the engine whatsoever. So how can it leak if it had no oil? The transmission was leaking, fair enough, but he didn't mention anything about the transmission leak. Mechanical sabotage. Yeah, not happy. Well, I'm about to sign off here and do a bit of cleaning when I get back, cleaning up my mess, and I'll check in with you guys on how it drives, give you an update if it's got better performance, what I did to give it a better and crisper shift rather than it be sluggish and slow to shift, which means the line pressure's too low. And let's put it this way, if the line pressure's too low, the transmission doesn't build up enough fluid to be able to grab the gears or friction plates hard enough for the vehicle to be able to move properly. So therefore it was slipping pretty bad before. However, when I was cycling it through the gears, I realized it has a more solider engagement. Does not mean that it's not slipping, but I'll confirm that if it is or if it isn't after I drive to pick up my fiance from work. Alright guys, signing out for now. Check back in when I get back home. Alright, so the rig is moving a lot better. We got it up to 100 pretty quick. Yeah, so that'll conclude it for today. That is a very nice repair. If it needs further adjustment, I will record it, but for now it is good. And see you guys in the next video.